In this video, we are going to see the working of Git and GitHub. This video is for those who do have a fair knowledge of what is Git and GitHub theoretically, but they don't know how to go about it practically. So we're going to see the complete procedure from cloning a repository or a project to making a pull request. So let's begin. So I assume that you have Git installed on your systems and also have a GitHub account. If you don't have, just take some time and set up the things. You can just Google it, and it is quite easy to set up Git and have a GitHub account. So we'll be focusing on the basic structure of control flow and some of the basic commands that help us to interact with GitHub. So let's start with what we are going to do. Assume that someone did a project and stored that project onto his GitHub account. Okay, so we check his account and we find the project quite interesting and we want to work on it. So to work on it, we need to copy that project onto our GitHub wall or GitHub account. Okay, so this is our GitHub account. So for copying that project into our GitHub, we need to fork that repository to our account. So this process of copying is called forking. Let's practically see how this happens. So this is my GitHub account right here. And assume that I have found some repository quite interesting that I want to work on, like this one. So this is only my GitHub account, some other GitHub account with this test repository right here. So you can see this has one file which has this text line right here. So I want to work on this from my GitHub account. So I would like to make a copy of this. For making a copy, there is a button called fork. So when you fork on this, you can see now the name here changes. Earlier, you can see earlier the name was codebuggy212/ the repository name, and now it is my name with the name of the repository. And you can also see that it is written right here, forked from the user from where you have taken this repository. So this is called copying the project or forking. So now to work on this repository or project, we need to get a copy of this project into our local computer. Okay, so this is our local computer, and to bring this to our local computer from the GitHub account, we need to connect these two. Okay, so the process of connecting the GitHub account to our local computer, or the path through which the data is transferred between these two, is called the remote. And by default, when we make a remote, it is by default named as origin. Okay, and the git command that is used to copy the project from Git account to local computer is called git clone. Okay, so let's not make it very theoretical and see this in action in the terminal. So right now I am in my terminal in the desktop directory of my system. And now to copy this or clone this repository, first of all we need to copy this link right here. Okay, so I'll just copy this and here I'll write git clone and then I'll paste the link right here. So when I press enter, you can see the cloning into this repository, and now you can see this repository right here onto my desktop. So now we'll cd into this folder that is testing pull request, and we'll open this with one of any of the code editor that you like. I will open this with VS Code, and now you can see. So you can see right now it has the line that we saw earlier on the account. That is, this is line 1, and now I am making some changes to this file. Okay, and I'll add one more line, which is this is line 2. I'll save this. And now we have made a change to this repository in our local computer. Now I want this change to also reflect onto the project that is on my GitHub account, right? So now we are done with cloning the repository and making the changes. Now what? Now we need to send our changes obviously to our GitHub account so that we can store them there. And also if we want to send our changes to the original repository for adding, we need to use GitHub for that. So to send our changes to our GitHub account, we use the git command, that is git push. So this would help us to push our changes from our local computer to our GitHub account. So before pushing our changes to the GitHub account, I want to show you two commands that are quite useful. First is the git remote -v command. So when I type this command, you can see that we get these two lines here. I have already told you about the remote. Remote is nothing but a route that connects your GitHub repository to your local computer. And so when we cloned the repository, by default a remote with the name of origin was created, with which is right here. And this link tells us the repository to which this remote connects our local computer to. Okay, so this was a git remote command, and you can also see two things in the bracket written here. One is the fetch and one is the push. It just says that using this remote you can also push your changes from your local computer to the GitHub repository, and you can also fetch the changes from there to the local computer. So this is the git remote -v command, and the other command is git status command. So now you can see git status command, what it does is it shows you all the changes that you have done to your local repository. Okay, so as you know, we made a change here. We added this line here in file1. So it is telling me git is looking for the changes. It is keeping the track of the changes, and it is telling me that the file1 was modified. Okay, so these are two commands that are very helpful. Now pushing the changes to the GitHub repository actually requires 3 steps. First is the git add, then is the git commit, and then is the git push. Let's see these commands one by one. So the first command that we need to write for pushing is the git add command. So this the command is git add, then the file name that you want to push. Here we have the file name as file1. So I'll write git add 1. Now if you type git status here, you can see that this line is, the color of this line has changed to green, which means that we have added this file for pushing or sending to the GitHub repository. Now the opposite of git add can also be done, that this file can also be unstaged, that we don't want to send this file. So for this the command is given right here. So you can just type this command right here also, and you include the file name here. And now if I type git status, you can see again the name has the color of the file has changed to red, indicating that the file has been unstaged for changes. Okay, so git add command is you can say a temporary command that which can also be reversed. Okay, so now we'll again write git add file1, so that the file gets staged for sending the changes. Next command that we need to write here is the git commit command. Now this also has some more things within it. You have to write git commit -m. -m is a compulsory parameter right here, which indicates that you have to type a message with the commit. So I'll just write here first commit, and then you have to press enter. So now you can see after we commit, the line here indeed says that one file has been changed with 3 more insertions, which is these insertions right here. Okay, so now there is a slight difference between adding the changes and committing the changes. It's just like the difference between an open box and a sealed box. In an open box you can put more items or take out items, like just like the adding command, where we can stage the files for changing, and we can also unstage them or restore them. But once you commit a file, you cannot uncommit it. Okay, There is a process where you can remove the whole commit, but I'll show you that in some other video. But for now, let's stick to the basics, right? Okay. So the last command that we need to write here is the git push command. So you have to write here git push the name of the remote, that is origin, and the name of the branch. So to find the get the name of your branch, you have to go to the repository, and right here you can see the name of your branch, which is the which is main. Okay. So if you are getting confused about what is this branch and what is all this, it's branch is nothing but just the copy of the project. So when we fork this repository, the branch copy of this project was created on in our GitHub account with the branch or the name as the copy name as main. And when we cloned this repository, the same copy of this repository was created into our local computer, which we call the branch with the name as main. So branch is nothing but just a main, just a copy of your repository. So just stick to till the end of this video, where because I will be telling you more about branches and why are they used in this workflow. So we'll just write here the branch name as main, and we'll press enter. And now I'll give my name and password, and then you can see the changes are now being pushed to my repository or the GitHub repository. And now when I refresh this page, and if I see this, there is a small change here in the file. With this is the name, that is the -m message that we gave in our commit, that is first commit. And when I open this file, you can see the changes have been added to my GitHub repository. So this was the process of making the changes to our local computer and pushing them to GitHub using the git push command. Now after making changes to the local repository and the GitHub repository, we wish to make the changes to the original repo. So can we make the changes to the original repo ourselves? Obviously not. Only the owner has the right to make the changes to the original repo. So how do we request our changes to the owner of the repository, and so that he could add those changes to the original repository? To the rescue comes the concept of pull requests. So now let us see how we can request the owner of the repository to take our changes and add them to the original repo. So making a pull request is quite easy. In your repository, you can see this button right here, which is of pull request. If you just click on this, and you can see that it says that the done changes are able to be merged, and you can just click here and create a pull request. If you want to add some message, you can add that also. It's your choice. Then create pull request, and then a pull request would be sent to the owner of the original repo, and it is his choice that he would merge it or not. So as I have made this repo to one of my other accounts only, so now here in the pull request section, you can see that from this account I have seen a pull request that has been received by this account, which is the same commit that I made. So if I click on this, and if I click on merge, you can see that the changes would be merged to the original repository. So I am clicking here merge pull request, confirm merge, and so now in the original repository, that is with this account, you can see in the file the changes have been shown. So this is how you create a pull request, and this is how you merge a pull request if you receive a pull request from some other account, right? So now we have made the changes, we have pushed our changes, and also we have learned how to make a pull request. Now there is one thing that we haven't done yet. That is, we have made our changes, we have pushed them, But what if there are some changes that are done by the owner of the repository or some other person to this original repository? How do we get those changes to our local project? Right, and then from our local project to our GitHub repository. So for this, if you think for a while, you can think it on yourself that we just need to create a remote or a path that would connect the original repository to our local repository. So let's create a path and from the original repo to our local repo. So to create a remote, you just need to type this command, which is git remote add. Then you have to type the name of the remote, that is, I'll type it here as upstream. And then what you have to do, obviously you have to get the link of the repository to which you want your remote to connect to. Okay, so to get the name, go in the original repository where the file is. Okay, and then from here we'll copy the link. So let's click on the repository, and you can see from here the code we can copy the link. And now again in our terminal we'll just paste the link, and when you press enter you can see a new remote has been created. So how can you check for your remote? Simply again you can write here git remote -v, which would list all the, let me clear this and type it properly. So now you can see the list of all the remotes that are connected to your repository. This was our original remote that we connected to our local our repository on GitHub, and this is the remote that we created just now that connects us to the original repository from the owner of this repository. Okay, so you can see that the link to this repository is Biraj Gupta / this repository name, and here is codebuggy2212 / this. So these are two remotes that connect us to different repositories at different locations. So now we have created this upstream remote that connects the original repository to our local computer repository. Now let us make some changes to this original repo and pull these changes using the git pull command to our local project. So now in this original repository, that is this one right here, we are gonna make some changes to the file. So I'm gonna add one more line here, that is, this is line 3. Now remember that we don't have this this is line 3 in our local repository. Okay, so I have this line here, I will commit the changes, and now the original repository has these changes. Now we need to pull these changes to our local repository. So here we'll just write a simple command, that is git pull. And now here also, just as we wrote the name of the remote, here also we add the name of the remote that connects us to this repository or the original repo, and that remote is upstream, and the name of the repository is main. Okay, that is right here. So I'll press enter. Now you can see I have these insertions in my file, and now if I open VS Code, you can see the changes have now been added to this to my local project right here. So this is how you pull the changes from the original repo to your local computer. The changes that you have done are taken from this repository to your local computer, but these changes are not present in this repository right here. That is your repository, your forked repository. So you need to push your changes to this repository. If I type here git status and press enter, you can see here that your branch is ahead of origin main by 2 commits. Okay, so if you want to push your changes, we need to write git push. So I'll just write here git push. You can also write git push origin master, but git push will also work. So when I write git push, again I'll write my username and password, and now the changes will be pushed to my GitHub, my forked repository. So now when I reload this page and open my repository actually, so if I reload this page, and you can see we have this update file 1, and when I open this file, you can see this change has been added to our repository as well. So this is the cycle that you should know and you should understand while working with Git and GitHub, because sometimes it gets too confusing. So now we saw how we can fork, clone, push and pull changes from using the Git and GitHub flow. We made a copy from the original repo to our GitHub account, then a copy from the GitHub account to our local computer. Now the question arises, can we make more copies of the same project in our local computer and subsequently on GitHub also? Yes, the answer is yes. You can make one copy, you can make two copies, you can make three copies, and that is your choice. Okay, so this concept of making multiple copies is actually what is called branching. So to give you an essence of branching, about why it is important and why it is done, let's do a small exercise. So right now, if you type this command, that is git branch, you can see that we have only one branch, that is the main branch. Now to create more branches, you can write git checkout -b and then the name of the branch. I am writing here branch 1. Now you don't actually need checkout here, you can simply use -b also, but checkout, what it does is -b creates a new branch and checkout moves from the current branch to that branch. So now if you write this command again, so you can see that we have created a new branch, that is branch 1, and we have shifted from our main branch to that branch. So again, if you want to go to the main branch, you can simply write git checkout main. So now we have been shifted to the main branch. So this is how you make branches. So let's say you are building an app and you want to add a new feature to your this app. Okay, so rather than adding the feature to the main branch, what you can do is you can add the continue the adding the feature from the branch that you have created, that is the branch 1. So I'll move to that branch, and then in this I will create or add a new feature. Save this, and now you can see if I write git status, you can see file 1 has been modified, and now you see that okay, this feature is nice and you want to commit this. So you first of all git add, do git add file 1, then git commit -m new feature added. So now you in your branch 1, this new feature has been added, but suddenly you realize that the feature that you added is wrong and it needs to be deleted. So but you have added this and now you cannot change it, obviously you have saved your file. So now here comes the role of branching. So as we don't need to worry about the feature that we have added, we can simply shift to our main branch because it contains the older version of our project where we haven't added this feature. So here we are saved by branching. So if I simply just check out to our main branch, you can see that it stores the older version of our project, and here the feature there is no feature that we have added. The feature has only been added to the branch 1 which we don't need now. Okay, so you see, this is the important, this is just a small example of just adding a small line, but in major projects this is the reason why branching is done, because all the new features are added using a branch, so that we have different versions of our project, so that whenever we want to access the older version or the newer version, we can shift on to that. And this is the concept of branching. So now and also one more thing is that whenever you are working on someone's project, it is always advised that you never push your changes with the same branch or make a pull request with the same branch, that is the main or the master branch. It is always advised that you make your or push your changes using the other branches, okay, whenever you work on something. So in those cases also branching is quite handy. So you should always work on someone's project using the concept of branching. So now let us make a new branch and add some other feature to that. So first of all, I'll go to the original branch because I want my new changes to start from the original branch, right? So I'll go to git checkout main, and then I'll write git checkout -b branch 2, right? And now I'll make the changes or add some other feature to this. Okay, and now if I save this, and here I'll write git status to check if my changes have worked. Yes, they are there. And now I'll write git add file1, then git commit -m some other changes, and enter. So now we have made a new branch and we have added some other feature to this. And now let's see the magic of branching. So if I go to my main branch, you can see there are no changes. If I go to my branch 1, you can see there was a new feature. And now if I go to my branch 2, you can see there is some other feature. So you can you can see what I'm trying to say. You can work on different features at the same time in the different version or different copies of the same project. So this is quite handy and useful if you want to work quite heftily on a project. Okay, so now let's assume that the feature that on which we were working in branch 3, that was quite useful, and we want to make that request that change to the original branch. So what we'll do is we'll make a pull request to the original repository, but not using the main branch, but the branching the branch 2 that we have made. So now let's make a PR with that. So now we just have to repeat these steps. First of all, check the branch. We are on branch 2, so we have already committed the changes. We just have to do git push. Now we must be thinking the remote that we would use for this. So there's nothing to think much, because the remote is common for your local computer and for your repository on the GitHub. So all the copies that are present on your local computer would have the same remote to connect to the repository on the GitHub. So we will write here origin, and now we have to write here the branch name. So we'll not write here main, but actually the name of the branch that we are using. So we'll write git push origin branch 2. So when I press enter, I'll give my username and password, and you can see the changes are being pushed to the GitHub. So now you can see here there's a change. earlier here used to be from main to main, but now we are sending the changes from the branch 2 of our local repository in our computer to the branch 2 that is being made on the GitHub account of our GitHub account. So now I am at my GitHub account, and if I refresh this window, you can click on this repository right here, and now you can see there is one more branch created. This was our main branch, and this is our branch 2. So now we as we have a copy of the original repo on our local computer, that was main branch 1, branch 2. Similarly, now we have copies of our repository in our GitHub account also, that is main and branch 2. And now you can see this compare and pull request option right here. If I compare and pull request, I can add a message, that is your choice, create a pull request, and again the pull request would be sent to the owner of the original repository. So now if you see, we are again at this our other account which contains the original repository, and if I reload this and if I go to my pull requests section, you can see there is this pull request that we have received with the same commit message, some other changes, and also you can see the line here. This wants to merge one commit into this from this branch 2. So this is what I was mentioning, that you should always make changes from if you are adding a feature to someone's project, you should always make pull requests or PRs from different branches, because this makes the main branch keeps the main branch clean, that is of the original repository, and making branches is always useful. So this is all for this video. We have done quite a bit regarding Git, GitHub and various other fundamentals including branching. So if you want to practice making PRs, you can fork this repository and make PRs on this repository that I have created here, that is testPullRequests, and see if you have any other doubts, and if you don't understand anything, you can mention that in the comments box. Also, if you have some more suggestions on topics on which I should make videos, so do tell me those also. So if you like this video, please give a thumbs up, share this video as much as you can, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you and have a nice day.